God and humanity's relationship to each other. MAN 17:7. Outside of man, between God and man, is the reflection of God, which men call nature. It can be disturbed by man and distorted, even as the reflections in a pool of clear water are disturbed by the drop of a pebble. Nature accords exactly with the greater needs of men, with their desires and beliefs, and with what they have deserved. It is also a modifying force operating upon the conditions of their testing. It is the breath of God expressed in living things. It is, to God, as the material web of the spider is to the living thing. They are separate and unalike, yet one. MAN 17:8. There is a fine, unbreakable thread, one end of which is secured in the spirit center, wherein dwells the everlasting being, the eternal one. The other end is fastened to matter, and between the two is the web of creation, spun out of the single thread of invisible substances by the forming power of God. MAN 17:9. All that we can know, as mortals, exists within the sphere of mortality. All was originally compounded from the fiery dust, the first expression of the outbreathing of God, upon which the forming power operated, as hair grows from the skin of the head, which is nothing like hair, as a tree springs up from the soil, which is nothing like a tree, as the spider spins its web and then withdraws, so does mortal matter come forth from the immortal spiritual substance. As the shadow is to the object that gives it form, so is the material to the spiritual. All things are held together by the spiritual womb web. The form is there, but the shape is here. MAN 17:10. Nature is the Spirit of God manifesting in matter. It is the spiritual form seeking outlet and expression in matter. It is the maker, the means of making, and the thing made, though all these activities are in a subordinate capacity. Spirit is not nature. Spirit is the source of all consciousness, which experiences both pleasure and pain. The spirit of man, when in contact with nature, fulfills the ever-changing conditions of nature. MAN 17:11. He who understands that activity anywhere is but the working of nature, and that God oversees this labor, understands the truth. Nature is never still. It is ever moving. Man is a creature bound to things ever changing. On the great scales, he is balanced between the eternal adversaries, good and evil. MAN 17:12. At death, the senses perish, but the memory of them endures. The spirit roams the morning land free, with all its beliefs, its desires, and its memories intact. The arisen man awakes as from a brief sleep, and finds himself in the place of decision. There a body awaits him, as substantial as the one he has discarded. I like the reference that nature is the reflection of God. We can disturb it. Each action does have repercussions, something we fail in understanding. What we do today can seem wise, yet twist into something far beyond what we intended. God gave us free will, he did not give us freedom from the consequences. Often wisdom is realizing the difference between real needs and wants or desires. If you do not need it, it might be necessary to refuse to do it. What seems harmless in a small change can distort. You might get lucky and die before the full effect hits, but that hardly is something to feel pride in. The reference to the spider web illustrates as a spider created the web and feels the disturbance, it is still separate. I do not see God as a punishing God. I don't believe in reincarnation as some see it, yet sometimes the soul can be so mired in mistakes that it's easier to let the soul relearn instead of unlearn. Could hell be getting what you desire? Having never imagined anything beyond the body's senses, you never consider there is more. You might never realize there is an exit. Yet after a time, God could come and show you and give you a new chance until the soul reaches the goal.